Thank you, Madam Chancellor. I'm Stephen Toop, and I have the honour to serve as President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. Every year at Congregation, UBC bestows honorary degrees upon individuals who, in the opinion of the university community, have fit the criteria of excellence and eminence in their chosen field. Bonnie Klein is one of those individuals, and I invite her to come forward to receive her honorary degree. Madam Chancellor, after completing a master's degree in communications from Stanford University, Bonnie Klein began an extraordinary 50-year career as a documentary filmmaker, author, and disability rights activist. A native of Pennsylvania, she and her husband emigrated to Montreal in 1967, where she went to work with the National Film Board in Challenge for Change, a program that experimented with the use of media as a tool for social change. Over the next 20 years, she produced and directed numerous films, but is perhaps best known for her documentary, Not a Love Story, a provocative and controversial examination of the pornography industry. In 1987, her life and her work were irrevocably changed by 2 strokes, after which she was afflicted by locked-in syndrome, a rare neurological disorder that leaves its victims fully aware but unable to speak or move. After 3 years of intense rehabilitation, she re-emerged to become a passionate advocate for the disability rights movement. The 1997 publication, Slow Dance, A Story of Stroke, Love, and Disability, is Ms. Klein's candid account of her life-altering strokes and their aftermath. After relocating to Vancouver in 1993, she co-founded the Society for Disability Arts and Culture and is the producer of the Kickstart Festival, which brings isolated artists together to express their experience of disability in dance, comedy, music, theatre, and the visual arts. She also counsels, consults, and speaks about healthcare, rehabilitation, and disability rights and culture to healthcare professionals, disability organizations, and the public. Her many honors include the Vancouver YWCA Woman of Distinction Award in Arts and Culture, the Vancouver Woman of the Year in Film and Video Award, a Governor General's Award, and her appointment as an officer of the Order of Canada. Madam Chancellor, in recognition of her many contributions to arts, culture, and the rights of the disabled, I ask you to confer the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Bonnie Scher Klein.
By authority of the Senate of this university, I confer upon you, Bonnie Scher Klein, the title and degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
It gives me great pleasure now to ask Dr. Klein to say a few words.
Thank you, President Troop, Chancellor Morgan Sylvester, and University of British Columbia. And you won't be surprised, or I was a little surprised to find that there are certain themes in our words tonight. Congratulations, first of all, to you, the graduates, your proud parents and family members, your teachers and friends. Why don't you turn and congratulate the proud person next to you? That's it. I'm proud too, and thrilled to receive this honorary degree from this university. I've attended a lot of events and spoken at this university, and I'm impressed by the commitment and intensity and passion of it. I am particularly grateful for my family, my husband Michael, who is Professor Emeritus in the UBC Department of Family Practice, and without whom I wouldn't be here. Our son Seth and daughter-in-law Christine Boyle, who keep us hopeful. Our daughter Naomi, my other inspiration who could only be here in spirit. And our 10-year-old granddaughter, Zoe Klein Johnson, who chose to skip school today to see what you guys and her bubby are up to. At this transitional moment in your lives, when probably your biggest concern is to plan a future that will give you a good life, which we hope you all will have, I would like to take a few precious moments to talk about what constitutes this good life. I sincerely hope that your anxieties about personal success don't hijack your possibilities for even greater happiness and success as a citizen of this planet. There were two transformational events which changed the course of my own life. The first I chose, immigrating to Canada. The second I did not, a congenital brain malformation that caused a life-threatening brainstem stroke when I was 46 years old, out of the blue. Michael and I came to Canada from the US as draft resistors in 1967. As graduate students, we had been involved in the movement to end the war in Vietnam. Michael was drafted as a physician, but he refused to serve in the military in any capacity. The choice was jail or Canada. We abandoned our well-laid U.S. plans. Is that funny? We abandoned our U.S. career plans, flew to the Montreal airport at midnight, and were welcomed as landed immigrants by a country that saw itself as a haven for war resistors then. There were over 100,000 of us, by the way, and most of us stayed even after the war ended. It turned out that this decision was the most important of our lives. Despite my parents' sorrow that I was throwing away my chances at success as they defined it, we have all thrived here. Because of Canada's support for public institutions, we have been able to pursue our professional callings while contributing to the public good. I worked at the National Film Board, as you heard. The NFB was the mecca of social documentary filmmakers at the time. I was part of Studio G, the first and only government-supported feminist filmmaking studio in the whole world. Michael has been able to practice medicine without regard to people's ability to pay. But our Medicare system is under serious threat today. The Canada, forgive my cold, the Canada in which Seth and Naomi grew up is not the same as the one in which you are graduating today, where public services, including the arts, are being sacrificed for public commercial interests. The second major event in my life was becoming disabled. The stroke left me with the mobility impairment you can see, as well as invisible cognitive issues. Without minimizing the very real losses and pain, including loss of my professional identity, I'm grateful for what disability has taught me about vulnerability, patience, interdependence, and resilience. I am not a particularly brave person, but you don't know what you can do until you have to. So your life, too, will be full of voluntary and involuntary changes, as the Chancellor talked about, which will divert your carefully made plans as it did mine, as well as offer new possibilities if you're open to them. So let's talk about you. You know you're smart, maybe even brilliant, or you wouldn't have come this far. You're hardworking and resourceful, curious and passionate. You have chased your dream and succeeded. Hopefully, your excellent UBC education has not taught you all the answers, but rather that you must ask the right questions, like, do things have to be the way they are? Is another world possible? What is the good life? During your years here, you have dealt with sexual assault right here on campus, inequality and Occupy Vancouver, the intense truth and reconciliation process with First Nations, battles over pipelines and tar sands, and global warming. It can seem overwhelming at times. Excuse me. And I suspect you may feel powerless. You may be battling a sense that previous generations, especially mine, have screwed up and left you so bad a legacy that you can't possibly make a difference. Thank you. Thank you. Will these make it better or worse? That is not the case, but the challenges ahead do require that you seriously ask and to continue to ask all of your life, what gives your life meaning and purpose? Turn your ambition to real values which will satisfy in the long run for your children and 7 generations, as First Nations have taught. Do not succumb to cynicism or be shamed by taunts that you are naive or unrealistic. Let's just look at a few successful examples of grand social change. 2 decades ago, cigarette smoking was enshrined as a matter of individual liberty. You know what? Political activism, scientific research, and brave whistleblowing changed everything. Our granddaughter, Zoe, when she was 5, asked, "Bubby, what's an ashtray?" Maybe your kids will ask their grandparents what a gas station is. I learned about disability rights only by becoming disabled. The pioneering generation of wheelchair activists 5 years before me chained their chairs to inaccessible buildings. Over 60 activists abandoned their chairs and canes and slivered up the 83 stone steps of the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. to demand that we be included everywhere. The Capitol crawl, as it was known, was criticized as undignified, but it was successful in achieving the historic Americans with Disabilities Act. Today, people with strollers thank us for the curb cuts on every street corner, not to mention automatic doors. Who would have believed it? But despite what some politicians and media tell you, you don't have to choose between taking care of yourselves and taking care of others. Your personal desires for a good life are not in conflict with what society and the planet need. In fact, they go together. They converge. Both are necessary and interrelated. The common root is compassion. As you know already, what matters is not how much money you make, but the connections you make with others. Gloria Steinem said on her 80th birthday, "If we want dancing and laughter and friendship and kindness in the future, we must have dancing and laughter and friendship and kindness along the way." The task of your lives will be to take the rich ideas that you've been privileged to study and creatively translate them into practical, radical action. Widen the circles of your life. Make ever-broadening alliances with people like yourselves and people seemingly unlike yourselves. Together, we can make the difference that needs to be made if you are to have the truly good life you desire. You have enormous influence over the future. Use it well and do us proud. You lead, we'll have your backs. Thank you and good luck.